Okay, I think we'll get going. Our main topic today is going to be on email, some tips and tricks there. We did talk about this subject a couple years ago, but it's always good to refresh some of this stuff, and there's usually new tips and things like that that have come up too. So we'll start with some of the basics and work our way through there. First, a little bio on myself. I'm known as a PC guy because I had the license plate PC guy. I'm the son of Tom Kreuzer here at Carondelet. John's in back there. I used to work at 3M. I'm retired now. I worked there for 30 years and I worked in their IT technology area. While I was at 3M, and even now that I'm retired, I still am involved with the 3M Personal Computing Club. I'm an officer of the club and I present at the club, so a lot of the presentations that I give here, I give to the 3M club, and so I pick up all kinds of things there. But I've been involved with the PC club at 3M for over 40 years, and at its peak, we had 1,200 members. And we were having speakers. At one time, we had Bill Gates in to demonstrate Microsoft Word for DOS, way back in the days. This was back in the 80s there. So we've had, for the PC Club, we've had a number of other speakers and interesting people there. I do offer free computer help. And I put my email, and that is on this sheet in the back. And also, if you go out to the Carondelet website, it's out there also. I mention here that I'm thrifty, I'm not cheap. So if there's a free way of doing things or an inexpensive way of doing things, I tend to recommend that more so than the most expensive way. So, there are a number of different options to solve any problem. This will be our topic next month in May 15th. We'll talk about how to save and spend online safely. So whether it's your laptop or your tablet or your phone, chances are you're going out to websites, you're paying for things, you may be transferring money, you may be looking at your bank statements, mobile banking. So we'll talk about all these different options that you have and how to keep you safe and secure when you're doing these things. I also mentioned here in May, every other month, along with my sister Mary and my brother-in-law Gary Marlowe and my dad, we put on a Fix-It Clinic. So the next Fix-It Clinic will be May 13th. And you'll be able to sign up down at the front desk, and we try and fix. We can't guarantee that we'll fix everything, but we work on small appliances, toasters, lamps, electronics, mobile devices. You sign up for a 15-minute slot, so it can't be a real detailed question, but we'll try and help you out and fix whatever you've got. I mentioned the Carondelet website. Out on the Carondelet website, I am currently recording this meeting, and it's being broadcast to channel 992, but I record it in a different way, and I put them out there. Also, these handouts are out there, so if you ever miss one of the presentations or want to revisit one of the presentations, you can go out to the website and you can find the past meeting there and watch the video and look at the handout there. Okay, let's get to our main topic today, which is email tips and tricks. Use the following information and tips and tricks to take control of your email. Don't let your email control you. I know too many people that their inbox is full of thousands of emails, and they're frustrated by the number of emails they get and things like that. Well, it's a tool, and you really have to take control of that tool, and you can make your life a lot easier, and you can have it work on all your different devices. Before we get into it, just a little background on email providers, so there are a number of options for emails, and you can have multiple email providers. Myself, I have 4 different emails that I use. So some of them I have associated with the clubs that I deal with, and others I just have them for security, or when I sign up for something and I don't want to get a lot of email in one account, I'll sign up using this other email. So there's all kinds of tricks that you can use there. Gmail is the #1 email used in the United States. Currently has over 130 million people. And I do recommend Gmail as your main email. So if you are looking to switch or add another email, create it out on Gmail. Even if you have an Apple device or an Android device, it works well on all of those devices.
Why is that? Why do you recommend Gmail?
I recommend Gmail because some of the email systems, let's say like Yahoo, they put next to no dollars into fixing it and adding new features and functions. So Gmail, because Google owns them, has all kinds of features and functions and settings and things like that that go beyond the basics. So, and eventually you may not be using some of those features right now, but in the future, if you wanted to do stuff, you want an email system that is a little more robust than that in there.
Do you think that Gmail is more secure than other email?
I didn't quite catch that word. The what?
Is Gmail more secure than other emails?
No, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but just offhand, that's a good question. Is it more secure? And really, it's no more secure than your mail, than what you put in the mail. Somebody can steal it. Somebody could look at the stuff. I wouldn't put confidential information in an email. So you don't want to do that. That's why if you're dealing with your doctor or your hospital, they usually have what's called a portal that you log into, and you send and receive messages there. Because none of these emails, these free emails, are set up to be secure. They were created in a time when the way stuff is done was completely different. But it's still, you don't want to get rid of this because they do serve a purpose. Just be aware that don't put your bank accounts and social security numbers and passwords in emails there. But actually, there are ways, if you did have to send stuff securely in Gmail, there is a way to send it securely in Gmail. That's one of the more advanced features, but you have to turn it on, and the person receiving it, has to turn it on. So there are some ways there. But in general, I recommend Gmail. 130 million people. The second most popular is Yahoo. And so sometimes you can tell the age of people by the email system that they have. Whether they have an AOL account, if you remember that, America Online account, or a Yahoo account, or some of these others that are out there. Third most popular is Microsoft. Their combination of Outlook or Hotmail, they have 35 million people. AOL, I mentioned that. Remember the discs that you'd get to the dial-in service? Still 20 million people. And that kind of shows that people are reluctant to set up a new email, but sometimes it's better to create a new email and start taking advantage of some of the new things there. Apple has 5 million people on it, so it's the number 5. And just because you have an Apple device doesn't mean that you have to have an Apple email. So just because you have a Google Gmail account doesn't mean that you have to have an Android phone. So all of these emails mix and match, and you can use whichever one makes the most sense to you. I do mention here that if you do, when you sign up for Comcast or Xfinity, they give you an email, or and some people will use that, or CenturyLink, or you may have worked for a company and had an email, or a school like the University of Minnesota, or other organizations will have free emails for you to use. While you're working in those organizations, it's beneficial to maybe use those, but once you're no longer working in there, and even while you're in there, you should have a second email, a Gmail or that, because at some point you're no longer going to be working for them. And when you lose access to that email, you don't want to lose access to your emails that you may have saved or want to save from people and stuff like that. Whereas Gmail and Yahoo and Microsoft and Apple, those accounts, as long as you keep using them, will be around forever. Okay, I will be talking about and showing Gmail, but all of these providers usually have similar features and functions in here. So when I talk about stuff, it may be a slightly different name or a slightly different option, but usually it's somewhere in there. Okay, the first thing we'll talk about within emails are the fields. And these are the fields that when you get an email, there's various fields that you see on the screen. Or when you create a new email, there's various fields that you see on the screen. So this is an example of doing stuff in a browser, what it looks like. And this is an example of creating a new email on a phone where you have various fields. And we'll talk about each of these fields a little bit. So the first thing usually that you fill out in sending an email is the from. And that's usually you. Who are you? Who is the person sending it? So it's the sender's email address, and it's made up of a username, which can include letters or numbers. Letters are not case sensitive, so you never have to worry about upper and lower case when you're typing somebody's email or creating yours. But it can contain letters and numbers and some special characters, not all the special characters. Then you'll see an @ sign, and then you'll have what's called the email provider's domain. So this is an example of my email, where this is my address here, tckreuzer@gmail.com. Now, there can only be one of these in the entire world. I signed up early. I got exactly what I wanted. If you were to sign up now, usually you have to put a bunch of numbers after the name, because there may be thousands of people with your same name or that already have that name around the world. Because around the world, there's, I don't know, Gmail probably has 1 billion or more accounts, email accounts. I do mention here that whatever the name is used in here, as we've talked about in some of the other presentations, you have to be careful when you get an email that the address here can be faked by scammers, so you don't want to trust it. So if it looks like it came from your bank, it may be a scammer trying to make you think that it came from your bank. Or you think that it came from a friend of yours because that was the name that they had used. Maybe somebody else, actually a scammer or somebody else has sent you an email and is trying to scam you there. So you do have to be careful of what you think is real and what can be fake.
How can you tell?
The question was, how can you tell if it's a fake? Well, that's a hard thing there, because we've talked before about scams, looking on the emails, sometimes by the punctuation and the language, sometimes just by the, I mentioned here, the provider's domain. Well, if it said it was from a bank and it was at usbank1234.com, I wouldn't trust it. If it was at usbank.com, that'd carry a little bit more weight, but you still have to be careful what you click on and what you use and things like that. Yes.
When you create an email address, and you put it in, will it automatically respond if it's already taken?
Yeah, the question was when you are creating a new email address, so you go out to Gmail or Hotmail or that, it'll say type in what you would like, and then it'll come back immediately and tell you if that's already taken, and it'll have some other suggestions. And those suggestions usually are a series of numbers after the combination that you had, because if you're thinking of a word or a phrase or something like that, because there's billions of these emails out there, a lot of the ones without the numbers are already taken. So you can try and be unique, but with billions out there, yours is probably going to end up with a series of numbers or dashes, or that's why you see dashes and periods and other things used by people there. Okay? Yes?
One of the things I've done, if I don't recognize it, I'll call the person and ask if they've emailed me.
Yeah, I'll repeat it for the people online in the recording. The comment was made, if I don't recognize an email, she'll give the person a call or contact them and ask them. And it all depends on what the email is saying. If the email is supposedly from your friend and they're talking about cryptocurrency and you should invest in cryptocurrency, that's a scam. Don't click on it. Don't do anything. If it's supposedly from your bank and it's saying, we noticed this fraudulent charge, click on this to log in to check it on your bank. You don't want to click on anything in the email there. If you have a bookmark in your browser for the bank that you've already put in before and used before, or an app on your phone that you've used, go out and use that app or that browser that has the correct link to your bank and check your account that way, but never click on any link in any email. So you'll hear people talk about that. Don't click on any link in any email.
Any email?
Basically, unless you absolutely know that it's somebody that you trust and that it truly is their email. So if somebody sends me a link to something and says, check this out, I'm very, very skeptical until I make sure that, number one, it came from that person, and then number two, even if it came from that person, their email may have been hacked, and so just because it says click on this and it looks like this, the place that it's going to go is some website over in Russia or in India, I'm not going there. I'm not clicking on it, so you do have to be careful. Okay, so on the to field is who you're going to send it to, and that would be the email address. It can be a single email. You can put in multiple people, or you can put in a group name for people if you've set them up in your contacts with a group. Also, by default, where you put in the addresses, that's considered a CC, which is carbon copy. You also have the option, the carbon copy is, excuse me, is an FYI, and people don't have to usually respond if they're carbon copied. Everybody in the to and the carbon copy can see if a reply all is done. Then the third one is a BCC, that's a blind carbon copy, where the people the other people that the email was sent to don't see the other email addresses, and that's handy if you don't want people accidentally seeing emails that they shouldn't see, or getting replied to and getting copies of stuff that they shouldn't. I mentioned here, tied in with your email account, you have a contacts or address book. And that contacts and address book is where you want to put everybody that you send and receive emails with. And then everybody that you send, call and receive calls from. Start collecting all that information in there, because that'll just make it easier for you when you want to send stuff, and then when you receive stuff. In a lot of these packages, I put in pictures of my contacts, so when I get an email or I get a telephone call, I see the picture of the person right there, and so there's a lot of benefits to that. Okay, the next field we'll talk about is the subject, and this is the topic of the email. And I mentioned here the tip, keep it short and to the point. Limit it to 50 characters or less, even though the Gmail will let you put up to 1,000 characters in the subject. You don't want to put 1,000 characters in the subject, and the person reading it doesn't want 1,000 characters in the subject, so keep it short and to the point. And also I mentioned here, whenever I'm going to reply to an email, reply back to an email, or I'm going to forward it to a friend or somebody else, I usually change the subject, because frequently the subject has changed. I'm asking them a particular question, or I'm talking to them about something that was in the email, but it wasn't necessarily the subject of the main email. So you can change the subject when you forward it or reply back. Okay, the next field is the body. That's where you can put in rich text. Rich text means different font sizes, colors, spacing, bullets, numbers, indents, emojis, images, and attachments. Attachments in Gmail are limited to 25 megabytes, but I recommend keeping them as small as possible, and frequently don't send like a photo, an individual photo or that. If you take a photo, put it out on the site where you're going to save your photos, and then you send the person a link to that. That way you're not clogging up their inbox. They get the highest quality photo with the most detail if they wanted to print it or save it or things like that. Whereas if you do some of these things within the email, the quality gets reduced down. There's limits to the size and just some other issues in there. Okay. This gets back to one of the questions earlier about security. Well, most email is not encrypted, so never include passwords or private information in there. Just consider it kind of like sending something in the post office. Somebody may steal it, somebody may open the letter, and if they open the letter, they can see everything that's in there. I mentioned here, don't use acronyms unless you're 100% sure the people that you're sending it to know what it stands for. So I come from IT. We have a lot of acronyms for a lot of different things. Well, if I know I'm sending an email to somebody else that was in IT, yeah, I can use those acronyms. But if I'm sending it to somebody outside of IT, it's best to just spell things out. Then it leaves no confusion for the person in the email there. I mentioned here, keep it short, KISS, be clear and concise. In your body, nobody likes long emails, and whether it's business or personal, we're all getting all kinds of emails and different things, so you want to be to the point and clear and concise. Signature. Signature is what gets appended at the end of the email. Google, and I'll show a little bit later, supports multiple signatures, so you can have a longer one for newer emails that you're sending out, a shorter one, a formal business one, whatever you want. You can set up these different signatures. Then another field that you don't have control over, but when you receive an email, you can see the date and the time that it was sent. So this is when it was sent, and I'll show in a second here. In Gmail, you can actually schedule when to send your email out. at a later time. Could be later today, could be tomorrow, could be a week from now. I can schedule to send out whatever day or time that I want it to. So let's take a quick look out here. Let me go out. So here I'm logged into the Chrome browser. I'm in Gmail. And let's create a new email. And when I create a new email, here's that to field. So I can just start typing something if I wanted to send it to one of my other accounts. Here I can send it to my Hotmail account. If I wanted to add a CC or a blind copy, I could do that. I could put in a subject. And this is the body. I can put in anything I want here. Now this is that signature that we talked about. So this is my default signature, and I like to start out with this, but if I wanted to change this, so if this was going to somebody that I knew, I wouldn't have to give them all this information. I can go down here. You can see here's a little icon that says insert signature. I can use my short version. Here's my short version of my signature. Thanks, Tom. That's all I have to put there. If I'm doing some stuff for the 3M Personal Computing Club, I can put this. So you can put graphics, you can put links, you can put all kinds of things in these different signatures to make it easy when you're creating new emails. What was that?
How do you get that part?
I'll show you in a minute here because we'll go in for some settings within Gmail that I recommend changing, and I'll show you where you can actually do that. Okay? So let's we'll get rid of this. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay, the next thing we'll talk about, the settings I'll get to, I think after the folders here, we'll talk about the settings. This is an important thing because you start getting all kinds of emails. It's important to categorize them. Just like in a file cabinet, you wouldn't just have a file cabinet without folders and put just your paper one after another. You want to organize it. And these email packages let you organize it. So they have, in some packages it's called folders, in others it's called labels, sometimes categories, sometimes tags, sometimes tabs. But in any case, it lets you organize it. And this is an example in the browser. These are the folders or categories that I have set up. And we'll talk about some of them come standard and some of them I've created myself. But that's the way you get to your folders there. If I'm on my phone by default is just showing me my inbox. That's a folder. Inbox is a folder. I can go up here to the 3 bars here. If I click on this, that'll open up another screen, and this shows me my folders or categories. So I can get at these file folders or categories on any of my devices to organize the email that I have. And we'll talk some more here. So all providers start with a standard set of folders. Gmail calls them labels or categories. One of them, I'm sure you're all familiar with, is Inbox. So Inbox is a folder. And that's where a lot of your emails that you get go into your inbox. Now, not everything goes into the inbox because some of the stuff, your email package looks at it and says, this looks like spam, so I'm going to put it in the spam folder. So people have this misconception that everything goes into the inbox. No, it doesn't go into the inbox, but certainly the stuff that isn't in the spam that you haven't written a filter for, and we'll talk about filters in a little bit. If you haven't written filters, then most all of your email is going into the inbox that doesn't go into the spam or into the trash. Another one you have out there is the sent. So whenever you send an email, a copy of what you sent goes into the sent folder. Now, this is something that most people don't know. They're kept forever. So if you've had an email account for 10 years or 20 years, every piece of mail that you've sent to somebody else is out in your sent folder. And people that I deal with will tend to have thousands and thousands of emails out there that have accumulated over the years. And those have accumulated out there and are taking space up on the Apple iCloud or on the Google Drive, and eventually you run out of space and Google wants to sell you more space. But some of the solution is go out there and delete the sent ones that you no longer need, or if you have never go out there, you could go out there every at least once a year, if not every 2-3 months, and go out and delete your old emails that are in the sent there. Another folder out there, it's called drafts. So if you start to compose an email, but you don't end up sending it, you either got too busy or we're going to add something later, that's where they go. They go into this draft folder, and they're out there for you to finish later. So you could go out there and finish it and then send it, or if you decided not to send it, you can delete them and get them out of your draft folder. Another popular one is called all mail, and all email is put in there or available in there so that you can see it from all these different places. I recommend people use this when they're searching to find an email. So if you went into your inbox and you thought, I got an email yesterday and I don't see it in there, or I'm just not finding it, go to your all mail, search through your all mail, and see if it's in there. Now the all mail sounds like it'd show you all the mail, right? It doesn't. So if you put stuff in trash, it's not showing you the stuff that's in trash. So if you want to search all these different folders that you may have, whether it's in spam or whether it's in your inbox or whether you categorized it in another folder, you want to search the all mail. But you also would have to search the trash to see if you might have deleted it and put it in the trash. Okay, another standard one is called spam or junk. These are emails that your provider, the package that you're using there, has looked at them and deemed them spam or junk based on who they came from, what the subject is, and other things there. Now, when items get moved to your spam or junk, unfortunately, the criteria to move it to your spam or junk may not be foolproof. So you want to be checking this folder to see if there aren't what's called false positives in there, where something got labeled spam and it really isn't spam. So it's always good to look through that. You don't necessarily open them up, but if you were expecting an email from a friend or something and they say that they sent it, it may have accidentally, because of the words that they used or the subject or their email address, may have got classified as spam. The last one is trash. This is emails that you've deleted. Gmail will permanently delete everything in the trash after it's 30 days after you've deleted it. So unlike that sent folder that keeps it forever, trash will disappear. You can go out there at any time and delete them out of the trash immediately if you want, but even if you don't delete them, they will be removed from the email system after 30 days. All the others do the same thing. Yeah.
Even the ones with the red flags?
The red flags, you can flag things and the system will flag things. You can star and flag, and that's just an additional way to hide.
They'll still erase them after 30 days?
If they're in the trash. If they're in the trash. So typically the question was with a red flag. A red flag, some people will use that. They get an email that comes in. They want to make sure that they do something, but they're not going to do it right now. So they'll put a red flag on it, and it's meant to make it easier for you to look through your list and find the items that may be flagged as red.
Where would be a safe place to put them?
To put them, I don't recommend using flags at all. You'll see the system that I recommend a little bit later. I have a system of folders. I put them in the various folders. I don't leave everything in my inbox. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, another one, this kind of goes with the flagged a little bit, is you can star them. So you can have a little star next to the email, and that's where if you wanted to highlight a particular email to make it easier to find or that, and you'll see a little bit later again, I don't personally recommend using the starred folder at all because I recommend a series of other folders there. Another folder that you sometimes see in some of these providers is what's called snoozed. So kind of like the snooze button on your alarm, it postpones the email so it doesn't show up in your inbox for a little while there. And so it'll, let's say you don't have to act on it immediately, you can put it in the snooze there, and then it'll, depending on your system, you can set the date and time when it appears back in your inbox. So if there was something that you had to do the end of the month, you may want to not act on it right away. You can snooze it till the end of the month. Another one is important. This important is assigned by Gmail based on artificial intelligence or adaptive understanding of your interests and priorities. And it looks at the way that you deal with certain people. Whenever you get an email from them, you immediately read it and you save it and things like that. Well, it starts figuring out that that person is important to you. You do interact with them. Whereas other people, you may delete their email without even reading it. Well, that signals Gmail and these other systems that you're not important to the person. So you can categorize there. Similar to the snoozed, you can also schedule for when items will come out for a future date and time. There's another option or another folder. You don't see it as much anymore. It's called Outbox. In the old days where you didn't have a cell phone connection or connection to a Wi-Fi, so you weren't connected and you had a telephone, you could still create emails. They wouldn't go to the person right away until you got connected to Wi-Fi or your cell phone provider. Then the emails would go out. So those went into this Outbox folder.
I have archive.
Archive is a little bit different. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I don't recommend that either. So there's well, I mean, you may find some value in there. So everybody uses email a little bit different, and hopefully, if you're using it, take all of this stuff and figure out what works for you and how you best operate. Okay, I'll mention here these folders. Most of the phones and tablets, so if I'm using my phone or a tablet, I can't create a new folder on here on this device. I have to create it on my laptop or my desktop because the apps for my mail on here don't have all the features and functions. So if you are creating folders, and I'll show you how you can manage your folders in a little bit when we get into the settings. These are folders that I recommend that people have. And I start out with one called 00 to do this week. And then I have a 01 to do this month. The reason they start with a number is it gets them to sort right at the top of my list. And So if I have particular emails that I have to do something this week, I put them in there. Stuff this month, I put it in here. And then I have a whole series of other folders. So if there's a particular event that I'm working with, I create an individual event for that. So I don't have a folder called event, but let's say I help with the Highland Garage Fest garage sales. Well, I have a folder for the Highland Garage Fest garage sales. Everything that comes in, my communications and theirs, goes into that folder. Makes it easy for me to find everything from year to year and things like that. I don't have to dig around. Family. So you may want to have one just for family or a particular friend. Then I have categories like health or retirement, newsletters. If there's a particular project or club that you deal with, you may have a folder for that. Then I have one for promotions. So whenever I get an email that, let's say it's for Devani's Pizza or Walgreens coupon in there, well, I can put all the promotion stuff in there, and it's kind of like having a coupon caddy. I can always look in there if I'm at a store and see if there's a coupon that I have. Receipts, if I buy stuff on online, whether it's on Amazon or eBay or different sites, or I purchase anything, I'll put the receipts in there. Registration, that's where I put stuff. Stationery is some sample stationery that I use, and then I have a catch-all called ZZ Others, and the ZZ is so that it sorts at the bottom of the list. Okay, this is what I personally use. It's called the zero inbox method. That means you read your inbox, everything in your inbox, at least once a day, and you move everything out of your inbox as soon as you read it. So nothing stays in your inbox. Once you read it, you either act on it immediately. I put it in, I can act on it later this week. I can act on it next month. I can file this away. It's a receipt. But I look at that email once, and then I decide what to do with it. I don't leave it in the inbox. And people will say, but I don't have time to organize it. And I say, you're wasting time when you don't do that, because you're having to read it over and over and over again and not able to find things there. So let's go out. We'll take just a quick look out here. So this is my, I mentioned Gmail and the Chrome browser. These are my labels or folders here. You can see I have a whole bunch of different ones, and you can have folders within folders. So if you end up with a lot of different ones, so like here I have an auto. Well, about a year ago, somebody backed into my car at Menards. And so I had insurance to deal with this person that backed into the car. So I created a separate folder, and I kept all the communications and all the forms and everything in there. So if I ever want to see that, there I got it immediately available for me. But you can create any number of these folders and organize them however you like. And the way that it works, let's go back up here to the inbox. So let's say here's from Walgreens. Walgreens sent this. Well, here's a deal, $7 off of $30. Well, if I'm not sure whether I'm going to use it, I can put it into my promotion. So if I go up here, you'll see there's an option, Move To. When I click on it, here's all my folders. I can go down to my promotion and move it to my promotion, and it's no longer in my inbox. And let's see here. Here's Target. Well, this I'm not so interested in. I know I'm not going to do anything with this. I'm just going to delete it. So you can go through and delete your items and work with your items that way. Let's go back.
In how you create the folders.
If you can hang on for a second, I'll show where you create the folders and how you can manage them. Okay?
So when you get these email, somewhere up here you have your folders. You showed us that.
Yeah, so the inbox is up here, and then the way Google has it is here are these folders or what it calls labels.
Okay.
And these contain, so the stuff that I want to do this week, here's the stuff of the emails that I want to do this week.
So you click on the email and then on the folder?
You can operate any way that you want. If I went into my email and I wanted to check on, to see if I had a coupon from Devani's, the first thing that I'd do is I'd open up my mail here. I can go over here and I can scroll down this list and look for promotion, click on promotion, and here's the coupons or the emails for my promotions. Okay?
I missed this, how you get it in there.
The way I got it in there is when I read it in my inbox here, so I was in my inbox here, there's icons up here.
Oh,
So here's an icon called Move To. When I click on this, it gives me a list of all my folders that I have created.
okay.
And I can move it to any one of these. Now, once I have it in one of these, so let's go down to this to-do here. So here's a Menards. If I wanted to, when I have it in here, I can move it from this folder to another folder. So think of it as a file cabinet. You can move stuff from one folder to another folder.
So when you do that, you go back to that simple way up the top.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I can move it to a different folder. But it moves out of this folder into the other folder. Okay, and it's operating, like I say, just like a file cabinet where you have file folders and you may have stuck a piece of paper, so that piece of paper is your email. You can put it in any of the folders, you can move it to any of the folders, and eventually what you're going to do with that email, hopefully, is do whatever has to be done and then delete it. And when I delete it, it's going to move from where I am into my trash. And then after 90 days, it's going to move from my trash off of my computer altogether there. Okay? Okay, let's go back here. And then I mentioned here, it's usually good housekeeping to go through probably once a year and clean out old folders that you no longer need. Or let's say it's promotions. In my promotions folder, there's coupons that expire. None of them are good forever. So I'll go through and I'll delete stuff out. So that's just kind of good housekeeping to go through and delete things. Okay, now we'll get into maybe some of the stuff there. How do you make some of these changes, or what changes am I recommending you make to your email there? And so we'll go through some of these options there. So I recommend going in through your browser because, again, if you make changes on your phone here, you won't see all of the options that you have available, and sometimes it only changes it on your phone. It doesn't change it if you also have a laptop or a desktop. But if you change it on the browser here, that's going to change it on my phone and everywhere.
So when you say change it on the browser, is that the Google Gmail setting?
Yeah. So however you get to your mail, and usually people have a bookmark or that to get to their mail. That's the way that you'd get there. Okay, let's talk about some of the settings. So within the general, because there's hundreds of settings that you can do in Gmail and Hotmail and all these different things. So we aren't going to talk about all the different settings, but these are ones that I recommend changing. In the general, you can have the maximum page that's shown. By default, it'll show you 50 emails at a time. I have it show me 100 because if I'm on my desktop computer, I want to see as many as I can. And the only reason to show 50 was back in the old days when the connection to the internets were so slow that it'd take a long while to refresh the screen. Now we have fast computers, we have fast internet connection. I recommend 100. Also Gmail, like most of the other packages, you can undo a send. The default in Gmail is you only have 5 seconds to undo it. So if you click the send button, you have to be really quick. If you said, oh, I forgot I wanted to add something, you only have 5 seconds to undo it. Well, you can bump it up to 10 seconds or bump it up to a longer time if you want. Images, by default, it'll show you images embedded in emails and that. And I usually turn that off. It makes my viewing of the email a lot faster. Then I just turn it on for the email sender that I want to see images right away from. So you can turn it on just for specific ones, but this way I don't have to have it on for everything. And then the signature we talked about, you can have multiple, and I'll show you in a minute where this stuff is located in the settings, but you can go in and you can create any number of these signatures. Also, there's options for vacation responder or out of office. So that can automatically, if you're on vacation and say, I want to get back to you in a month, or I'm not responding to my emails right now, you can set that up. So let's go out and take a look at where these things are. So let's go, I'm currently, we'll get back to the inbox here. I'm currently in my Gmail, and up here, this gear icon gets me to the settings. So if I click on settings here, you'll see that it says, this is the quick settings. So this is just a quick way to do a couple of things. I want to see all the settings. So I click on that. Here's all these tabs with literally hundreds of settings that you can change. So the ones that we were talking about were in this general tab. This is the maximum pages, how many to show on a page. You can switch that to undo the send. You can change that. You can change all these behaviors, auto correction. You can turn things on and off if you don't like the way that it's working. So you can set up a lot of different options there. Here's where the signature. So the question was, how do I change the signature there? Well, you go into the settings, go down here, and you can create as many of these signatures as you want. So I could have 5 or 6, or I could have as many as I want. I can put whatever text in here that I want. I can bold it. I can colorize it. I could put a picture in here. I can put whatever I want in here. Once you create these, you then have options. Whenever you create a new email, which of these signatures do you want to use? So I can pick which of these signatures I want to use whenever I create a new email, and a different one I can use whenever I reply to an email. So you can set things up there. So a lot of flexibility with these settings and stuff like that. Okay, let's go back here. Labels, so we were talking about the labels or the folders there. You can choose to see or hide folders, create categories, and you do that back in the settings. That's where we can do it. So if we go back here, you'll see here's a tab up here for labels. When I click on this, it shows you both the labels that are standard, so the inbox and the start and the importance and the scheduled. You have control over whether that folder is shown over here or not shown. So if you choose, I mentioned I'm not a fan of the start or stuff like that. I choose not to have that shown. So you can turn them on, and those are the standard ones. Then it's a case of here I can create, and here I can create any number of folders that I want. So here's create new label, and here you can see the folders that I've created. And so this would be the place one of the places to create it. Okay? Sure. So if I'm at my inbox, so you're able to read your emails here, the way to get into your settings is go up to the top right-hand corner, and there's settings. And when I click that, it just has what are called quick settings, but you'll see there's a button that says see all settings. And if I click that, now I can see all the settings. Okay? Now, I just showed you how to create a new label or a folder there. That's probably the easiest way to set them up. But there's always different ways to do things. So let's say I was reading this email here, and I was going to move it to one of my folders. So I go up here to this icon, and I click on Move To. And I see all my folders here. If I don't see a folder that I want to move it to, create new. So I can create a new folder right here. And if you wanted to manage your existing folders or labels, I can just click on that, and that takes me to the settings that we were just at, and I can hide or show or delete or move stuff around. So there are a couple of different ways to create these new folders and to organize.
What is showing IMAP?
Which
The far right column showing IMAP.
this map are excuse me there, which label?
You've got the folder, you've got show hide, and you've got show in IMAP.
The far right hand column. The show and IMAP. Okay. To tell you the truth, we aren't going to go down that road. This has to do with if you had a computer 30, 40 years ago and you used to dial up like to AOL, and then the process was such that you would download those mail to your computer. And this is the way that it would, if you downloaded it to your computer, it was no longer up at the Gmail site. It was only on your computer. And that's a system that worked very well when the computers were rarely connected to the internet and the internet was very slow. Because most of us now have multiple devices, if I had it downloaded to my laptop and it was no longer up at the Gmail server, I wouldn't be able to see that email or my folders on my phone. I'd only see it on this computer. And if I ever lost the computer or got a new one, all of my emails and that would be gone. Nowadays, the way that you want to operate is you want everything up in the cloud. And so that's the different options of how the email is set up. And if you remember the old days too, nowhere am I talking about Microsoft Outlook. Microsoft Outlook is software that you used to put on a Windows machine to read your email. Now I don't recommend that. I recommend you go out to the Outlook website and do your work. Because if you only do your work on Microsoft Outlook, I guarantee you're going to have trouble with, well, I thought I got an email on my phone and I don't see it on my laptop, and I don't know what happened to Aunt Susie's pictures that she sent me. Stuff disappears, and so you don't want, that's a whole nother subject. You don't want to be using Outlook or a package that is on a device. You want to use the cloud and use its capability. Okay, we're running a little long here. I'll try and go by some of this stuff fairly fast here. So importance markers, I recommend turning that off. Accounts to import, I recommend set that to what your name and your email address to show. So I could put in my name, I could put anything that I wanted in there. If I wanted to just go by PC Guy instead of Tom Kreuzer, I could put PC Guy in there. This is a more advanced feature for filtering where you can create rules. So if you wanted to create rules where every time I got a rule from this particular cousin of mine, I wanted it immediately to go into the trash. You can write a rule and you'll never see the email from that person. It'll automatically go in there. You won't have to open it up. You won't have to put it in the trash. So you can write rules. When I was working at 3M, you may have a rule to automatically look for certain keywords and put them in certain folders. So immediately when an email came in with a particular topic, I wanted it put in a particular folder. So you can automate things. But it's a little more advanced, but if you're getting lots of emails and want to organize things, it's something to look into. On a phone or tablet, you can use the share option to create email that'll link or send things instead of sending a photo that's an attachment or a video. And here I mentioned sending a link instead of copying stuff in there. Watch the formats that you use and what you paste into an email so you do have control of it. A lot of people don't know that, let's see if I can quickly do this. Let me go here and let's do this. We don't need that. Let's check, I don't know let's check Portilla Android alarm set. So if I copy this text, let's say I'm creating an email and I go into a web page and I copy, so I did Control-C to copy or however you copy stuff in, and I'm creating a new email and I want to put it in here. If I paste it in here, you can see it maintains the fonts, graphic, things like that. Well, in a lot of cases, I don't want all that. I don't want the font. I don't want the graphics. I don't want the stuff. So what I can do there, instead of just pasting, is I'm going to first delete this here. I guess we got a little bit there. If I right mouse click on this, you'll see an option up here is paste as plain text. If I do that, it pastes as plain text, no graphics, no fonts, and so you can end up with cleaner stuff that way if you paste, if you don't want the formatting and don't need the graphics and don't need the stuff there.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I missed what you said. What did you do to get it to paste like that?
So I first copied it. I copied it from a web page, or it could be from a Word document, or any number of packages. I could have copied text. That puts it into the clipboard. Once it's in the clipboard, you're the one who's in control. So by default, when you paste something, it'll attempt to paste it with the formatting, with the graphics that is in there. But frequently, people don't need the graphics and don't need the formatting. It just causes other problems. So maybe you're talking about something and you want to copy from a particular article. You don't want it to change the fonts and change things in there. I can go back, let's go back in here. If I go back in here and instead of, well, let's do this. So if I paste it at this point, without anything, I get, now we got a couple, let me go back here, let's get us a fresh screen where we can see it. If I paste it there, I get the graphics and the font sizes and the colors and stuff like that. If I don't want that, I can, instead of just doing a standard paste, I can do a paste as plain text.
Where did that come from? How did you get that up there?
Okay, that's a little trick. Most people don't know that it's there. because they've never right mouse clicked. All they've done is paste it. They've gone up to the menu and they're in a package and they do an edit paste. That uses the standard paste, which is going to give you the graphics, give you the color. But if you click on in almost any package, you can either right mouse click and then see this option, paste as plain text, or go up to the menu and do edit, paste special. And the paste special will let you format it in a different way, and usually the preferred way is as plain text.
But you did a right click.
I did a right click on the mouse here. But let's say if I was in Microsoft Word writing a document, I won't go into it now, but if I was in Microsoft Word or any number of other packages and wanted to copy that or paste that text in there, I'd use the functionality within Microsoft Word, and I could right mouse click and I'd have that option to save as plain text there. If you have questions after, give me a call or let me know. Depending on the version of Word that you're using, depending on the package that you're using, it can be called different things, but you always have the option of converting it. In the past, what people would do is people would come, let's see if I can do it quick here. People, if you're familiar with like a package like Notepad, they'd open up Notepad and they'd paste it into Notepad because they knew that whenever they pasted anything into Notepad, Notepad doesn't work with graphics and doesn't work with bolds and things like that. So it automatically released the stuff there. But you also have options. If I right mouse click in here, you'll see it just has a paste. And the reason it just has a paste is because it's already converting it to plain text. You can't paste it as graphics. Okay? That may sound a little... Here's a version of Word. I'll maybe just do a quick deal there. This is an older version of Word that I have on here. But if I wanted to paste that stuff... So here I am in a document and I'm going along and I want to paste what I had on that site. I can do a Control V and paste what was out on that site. You can see, come on here, it's going to come up with the graphic and it's going to come up with the text there. So,
Control P.
What's that?
P. Control P.
Control V.
Oh, V for print.
Well, actually, yeah, we won't go into the specifics, but if you look at the way the keyboard is laid out, you have on your keyboard, you'll see X, C, B. The X is to delete stuff, the C is to copy stuff, and the B is to paste stuff. So that's the quick key or the key, but it pasted it with the formatting here. If I don't want it with the formatting, I can go up here to edit, and you can see it's a case of, well, let's go back here. This one isn't operating. Well, I won't go into it at this point, but you can paste as plain text here too. So in most packages you can, D is for pasting, yes. And the three are right next to each other. That was specifically done that the X is for deleting, the C is for copying, and then the V is for pasting. It works a little bit there. So let's go back here. We're a little bit over here. I'll quickly cover some of these things, but you can look on your sheet. There's all kinds of other tips on here. I mention in here, some people will send emails and they expect people to respond to them right away. So if they don't respond right away, they're unhappy. Well, myself and a lot of people will only look at their email once or twice a day. So just accept that people aren't going to respond right away. Only work or school, yeah, we won't go into that. I mentioned here, if you are looking for a response from somebody right away, you want to text them. So texting is usually, if you want to get a response from somebody, you're better to text them. But you don't want these texts to be big and long. You want them to be short. You want them to a limited number of people. But certainly when they're time sensitive, that's a better. If you want to get a hold of somebody right away, that's for a telephone call instead of a text. But texting, you're going to get, people are going to respond to texting faster than emails. I mentioned here unsubscribing. Unsubscribing for emails. A lot of people get more emails than they want, and all they do is end up deleting the emails. But let's go back here to our package here. So if it's a legitimate place, like let's say AARP, I'm getting stuff here. If I didn't want to get their emails, Google has put an unsubscribe up here. I can just click on this. This will send a message to AARP to not send me any more of these emails. So you can unsubscribe from companies, or let's say it's a charitable organization or a political organization. Click the unsubscribe and unsubscribe. If you don't see an unsubscribe here, frequently at the bottom of the email, we go down here, there might be manage your account, unsubscribe from this type of email, or unsubscribe from all emails. So there's usually a link or something to unsubscribe and get yourself out of there. So don't put up with, well, I don't want to see this anymore, and they just keep hitting the put it in the trash there or delete. You'll just keep on getting them. But if you unsubscribe and they're legitimate companies, they will take you off the list, and you won't be getting hundreds of emails there. Okay. And I mentioned here, don't try to unsubscribe if you know that it's a scam. If it's a scam or that a hacker, you don't want to let them know that you're reading your email. So only unsubscribe from companies or political organizations or stuff that you know are legitimate companies there. You can create these filters to do things. Then I mentioned here, when you're searching for stuff, it only searches for the folder that you have open. So let's just do a quick deal back here. So if I was going in my inbox here and I was searching, it's only going to search in my inbox. So I only have 4 items here. It's probably not going to find too much. Like I mentioned before, you may want to search in all mail. And the all mail, you can see when I go in here, it's telling me what folder these different emails are in. This is in my inbox, this is in my promotion, this is in this folder, and so I can search for emails there. And if you're not familiar with the Google search or that, yeah, I can type stuff here, and let's say I'm searching for AARP. I can search and it'll just show me the stuff that pertains to AARP in here. If I wanted to get more sophisticated, here I can do the advanced search, and you can do all kinds of stuff. So if I knew I'm only searching for emails within the last 20 days that contain this word and that word, I can do advanced searches. And that can be handy if you've got thousands of emails and you're looking for a particular email.
Your first page said that all mail does not include the trash.
Correct.
But this one says it does include the trash.
That would be a mistake there. It doesn't include the trash. And some of that stuff changes from version to version out here. And so at one time, the all email had all this stuff. and then they changed it to not include the trash. So it by default does not include the trash. But having said that, that's where this advanced search can be a little more powerful here, because you do have, you'll see down here, you have options here too of picking where you want it to search. So you do have a little more control if you are looking for a particular area. There was a comment or a question earlier about the archive. I mentioned that I don't necessarily recommend it. So you can archive messages. The message will come back to your inbox when somebody else replies to it, or you get another email in with that from that same person about that subject. So the archive, I'm not a fan of that. People will put stuff in there and forget that they put it in there. To me, it's much better to create your own folders or labels and put them in there, and then you know where it is there. Snoozing, I'm not a fan of that either, so I don't recommend the snoozing. You can mute messages. I don't recommend that either, so I'm not going to go into that. I mentioned space. So Gmail gives you 15 gigabytes of space to store your emails, your contacts, photos, documents, things like that. Well, you should try and keep your email as small as possible, and that means deleting your emails when you are done with them, and especially getting emails. Somebody may have sent you 4 or 5 pictures, and those 4 or 5 pictures may be taking up 25 megabytes of space out there, or they sent you a short video that takes up even more, and that eats into your free space to the point where you're going to get a message from Google saying you're running out of your free space. Do you want to purchase more space for $1.99 a month? You can get more space. Again, I'm not in favor of keeping everything, so delete the stuff that you no longer need.
If you delete an email, the pictures go to?
Eventually, it goes to your trash, and then after 90 days, your trash is let go. Now, if somebody does send me something with a picture, usually what I do is I will save them locally to my phone or to my machine, and then that automatically gets saved up to my cloud account where my other photos are, and I can delete the email. I no longer have to keep their email around. So that's kind of a whole different topic of how to manage your photos, because if it's something that you want to keep, don't keep it in an email. Email is not a way to organize your photos. You want to keep it in a photo package where you can manage it. And the way to do that is take it out of the email if they sent it in the email, and then put it to whatever software or site you're using to manage your photos. Okay? I mentioned here you can create extra emails. So Gmail will let you create any number of them. So if you're with an organization and you don't want to give out your personal email, you can create a brand new email that you only use for this organization. And on your phone or on your tablet, you can log in. I can get at all my different emails very easily, switch back and forth, open the inbox to this one, open the inbox to that one, and I can very easily get at all of my emails.
Can you do that on your computer?
Yes. So you can do that. There's several different ways. Let's go back here. So you'll notice up here in the right-hand corner, this is the account that I'm currently using, and it's associated with this Gmail. If I click on this, you'll see here I have set it up. I can easily switch to my personal computing club, and I can add any other account that I want here. Or if I one time wanted to do it, let's say I was down in the library here at Carondelet, I wouldn't even have to set this up. I just log out of this account, log back into whatever account I wanted to use, and I'd be accessing those inboxes and those folders and everything from that account. So you can switch easily back and forth.
So on there, where are your other
On here,
accounts? Yeah.
this is like the PC Club. I can just click on this, and when I click on this is my PC Club account. You see there's nothing in here right now, but I do have, let's go in, I keep this one clear of most everything, so there's only a few other items there, but this is a completely different account. I can switch back and forth between any of them, and what I do is not on this device, but on this device I have my dad's account, so I can easily get at his emails, and that on my phone also. But I don't have to get at his emails on this laptop, so it wasn't set up here. Okay. I think that maybe, yeah, we won't talk about that. I know I've gone long, but I'll take any questions if anyone wants to stay around. Yes?
I'm going to have to change my email address on all those universities and stuff. And there is a way to do that you could do everybody at once without listing their names. Where do I find that option?
I talked to the person that's handling that system. So some of the schools have a particular person that they differentiate between the active faculty and alumni. They have a particular function. So check with them. But in general, what I'll tell, so I left like 3M. When I left 3M, what I did is I only took a handful of emails that I wanted to keep. All my contacts, I brought those along, but the contacts are more important to me than the past business stuff I was doing. But if you do have past business stuff, one of the suggestions I'll make is what I did on the few things that I did want to keep from 3M. Is if you're familiar with going into your email, selecting multiple email, and then printing it. Now, instead of printing it, I saved it to a PDF file, and I have the PDF file. Some people will individually take their emails and forward them to their new account. I didn't want to do that, but I did want to keep some things. I printed it out to a PDF file, and then if I want, I can search the PDF file on my computer and get at stuff. So but it depends, and I've talked to some other people that have had been with universities, and some of them, when they let people convert their email account, they'll take it from the internal university to the alumni, and that's a different process. That's kind of an internal process where they can move some of that history and the contacts and things like that. But otherwise, what you have on all of these packages, let me go back here. Back here. Let's see. So one of the things, like for the contacts, if I'm in Gmail, there's options to import and export. So if let's say I was getting rid of my Gmail account and I'm now going to use an Apple account or a Microsoft account, I can export my stuff to a file on this computer, and then I can import it into the other account that I want it in. So that you don't lose contacts and some things like that. Okay?
But That probably could be done on a device, put on your computer.
It's usually easier on the computer because the ability to select multiple emails and folders and things like that. So you may want to organize it a little bit, take some of the stuff and move it into, this is a folder that I want transferred, this is other stuff that I really don't care about. So you may want to organize it a little first and then figure the transfer there. Because it's also that case of, let's say when I was back here, well, it's easier for me in here to select everything and save it and do things there. Okay? You're welcome. Other questions, comments? Otherwise, thanks for coming, and next week we'll talk about...
Can we have another one on this?
We could, I'll see